What's going on? What's up, everybody? It's your man NIC from the Urban Collective alongside.
What's up, everybody? It is your First Lady, Miss Bernadine Truth. So excited to be here with y'all for another episode of the Urban Collective 2.0 edition as we navigate through the world of COVID, but still really doing our best to keep you all engaged and informed with life and perspectives and highlighting my favorite element, one of my favorite elements of our show, our celebrity guests. But before we get into all of that, NIC, how have you been doing since our last episode?
We didn't have an episode last week, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we had the. I attended your event, which was pretty great.
Thank you.
Definitely loved it. It was something different. It was nice to see a group of men just getting together and just talking about their experiences. It's always nice, especially a group of Black men to see that happen. So I appreciate that. Great job. Great. We already spoke offline about everything else. So there was that. Besides that, I'm doing good. Summer's here finally, even though it's been raining.
It's been weird, right? Yeah. I was like, this week's been cold, rainy, gray.
Yeah, it's like my AC. I put up my AC behind me, and I'm like, I'm not even using it. So I gotta figure out what's up. I can't even ride my motorcycle. So
I feel like global warming, Mother Nature, whomever people believe in, or whatever people believe in, was just like, all right, I gave y'all too many sunny days. Y'all are out here pretending COVID is not real. So let me give you a day to regroup or a week to regroup and just kind of like stay a little bit more distant. That's what I was saying to my cousins. I'm like, if it was sunny, because like there are cities like Houston, Texas that opened up because it was like warmer. They were like, we didn't have that many cases, so like why not open our doors? And all of a sudden, because everyone started flooding over there, right? Both people from Texas, people out of state, like all of that, just navigating their way. Their numbers increased and they're actually deliberating whether or not they're going to close again, right? And so I feel like Mother Nature, at least in Boston, East Coast, whatever, was just like, listen, what I'm going to need y'all to do is keep your numbers down and recognize that COVID life is still a real element of things for us to consider. So let me give y'all some rain. Let me give y'all some colder days and keep y'all behind the house.
Yeah, it's
wild.
It's been a crazy few weeks, but especially with the whole COVID thing coming back, that's like, come on.
I know, and they're talking about like that second wave when it's warmer outside. I mean, colder outside, like for fall season for us anyway. Yeah, I always have to keep in mind like the regions. I'm like, we're gonna get fall/winter.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
those
but
other
warmer places.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not gonna get that, but
Florida,
you still might get that wave.
Florida, what should they expect? Are they gonna see a wave in the fall? I mean,
I feel like it all depends on how people travel, right? Because again, it's just like Texas's cases increased, but I want to hear the data of like how many of them came from, how much of the spreading of the virus came from people who are like native and like residents of Texas versus people who came through, right? And like you're just transporting the virus itself. Because again, it's just like, Florida is like warmer, so people might be. There are a lot of people who travel to warmer parts of the world because it's cold here, right? They have to come back. So I'm like, I don't know, like we'll see, but I'm certainly curious to see how it's going to be.
I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, but expecting the worst.
Right.
It's kind of like, okay, please let this get better. But then at the same time, I'm like,
what's about to happen? What I will say that's gotten better, which I'm excited about, our restaurants started to open up again.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, let me go out to eat. I can socialize.
Life, y'all, because Bernadine was out there eating, no mask.
No. Okay, so you are playing games. It's not that I'm not wearing the mask. I wear the mask. And waitresses and waiters wear masks when they come to us, right? But when you're sitting with your friends and you're eating with your friends,
gotta eat like this. You gotta eat like this.
So show me the hole. Show me the hole with the food. Exactly. I'm gonna let you laugh that off because you thought you were hella comical just now. So not kind of how it works. But yes, restaurants are back open. But I mean, I think a lot of restaurants have also been super creative. So they just opened their outdoor. Their outdoor seating has been open for a little bit of time, like for a couple of weeks, I would say, in like this phase of like opening up Boston. And then they opened up their indoor dining Well, I mean, I think like I feel like those dates kind of range for some folks, as far as like the indoor dining access. So, like I know one of my favorite restaurants, Mita's, opened up their indoor dining this past Monday on the 29th. And then a couple of other restaurants in this phase opened up their indoor dining on the 22nd of June. But nonetheless, right, like we have outdoor dining, indoor dining options. I think a lot of restaurants in the city have done their best to take over sidewalks, if you will, right, or like extend their access and accessibility to people. Yeah, so it's like on sunny days, it's awesome. I'm grateful that they opened indoor dining because on rainy days like this, it's not like you don't want to go out, but you're obviously not going to sit outside, right? Like you're not going to get rained on. You're not going to sit through like cold weather either. Because I'm like, the way the temperature shifts too, people can get sick off of that alone. So.
I know, yeah. It still feels like it's spring, like early spring days. So
only this week, though, I felt like we had this kind of like a little bit this past weekend, but I feel like we've had a lot of like warm days.
I hope it changes soon. That'll be good. Besides that, what else is going on that's caught your attention in the news media?
I will say Cam Newton signed as the quarterback with the Patriots.
Which is cool. I didn't think you were gonna bring that up.
All I know is that Cam Newton is fly, so I'm excited. I don't really know how to talk about it in any other capacity. So, but I mean, I think it's more about like a question, right? So it's only a 1-year deal, so I don't get how that is that a standard for?
No.
So what's the deal? Why?
The reason why he signed a 1-year deal is Cam has been hurt for the past 2 years. So the 2018 season and the 2019 season, he was hurt. He played 2 games each of those seasons. One was for a foot injury. I think that was last year. The previous year was for his shoulder in 2018. So quarterback, your foot and your arm are hurt where it makes you money. So because of that, he was a top quarterback. Elite Pro Bowl quarterback. He was the league MVP
for the Panthers.
Yeah, he played for the Carolina Panthers. 5 years ago, he was the league MVP, which is the most valuable player in the league. Took his team to the Super Bowl. They lost, unfortunately, but took the team to the Super Bowl, scored crazy touchdown. Still young in the quarterback years.
No, he's 35. He's 31.
Oh, God. 29 to like 34-ish is your prime years. You've been in the league enough. You've learned from your mistakes and everything like that and built. So that 31 is like prime time for him. So hopefully he's in great shape. The reason why he has the 1-year contract, this is kind of a prove it type of thing, which is Bill Belichick loves these type of contracts. Even with Tom Brady, he did this. And that's one of the reasons why Brady was like, yo, dude, A, B, C, D, I've got 6 championships and you're still asking me to prove myself. You should just pay me. He did this with Cam, like saying normally a quarterback would get around 14, 15 million on average. He's like, hey, you haven't really played for 2 years. You can come to the Patriots, which is one of the top teams in the league, play for us. And if you do good, maybe the Patriots will sign you to an extension. Gotcha. Or you can go somewhere else and say, look at what I did with the Patriots. And basically throughout the league, whenever somebody does good here, we're kind of like, because we're some of that elite team, other teams always go hunt for them, from our coaches, our players, personnel, everything. So he's hoping that's what happens. I'm happy we got a black quarterback, and then with the locks and everything like that.
Well, I mean, his locks. Can we talk about that for a moment because they're not the most neat. Like
and I love that. Those are locks.
Which is what I was gonna say. I was just like, which is like something I appreciate, but then also I'm just kind of like, is this a statement or like, do you really like this? Like,
yeah, it's just kind of a way.
He has shorter hair too. He just like grew it out, but I'm like, the way it just grows out. I'm like,
that's what happens. It's locks. That's what's supposed to happen.
Okay, I don't know.
They twist their stuff every 2 weeks and get it all night. That's what's supposed to happen with the locks. You go to Jamaica, you go anywhere, Rastas, you see them, and locks are all crazy. So I love that. He's very outspoken. He's very generous. He's done a lot in his community. He's very big on kids. So his thing is when he scores a touchdown, he's a very mobile quarterback. So that's why he's been hurt. So he gets hit a lot. But when he scores, he gives kids a football, every football. he gives it, finds the kids in the stand and gives it to that kid. He's very big with kids, like very, very big with kids.
I mean,
so hopefully, you know, that plays here outside of the games and everything. So I'm very excited about that. And
so it sounds like NIC is gonna get Bernardine a ticket to go watch him play when he comes.
Yeah, I'll get you a preseason
kids. He's 31. He's living his life. He has natural hair. I have natural hair.
He's married. He's married with kids. He's married. Sorry.
There are just moments where I feel like you could have just let me enjoy.
Sorry. I think if he's not married, I know he has kids. I don't know if he's married.
Well, he loves the kids, so it's okay. Like
I know he's in a committed relationship though. So
you know this? Like y'all had a whole conversation about it?
No, I've read it's like
right. So we don't know.
I know football, so I know, you know, they talk about people's lives.
You know what I do know? What I do know is that the BET Awards did its damn thing.
Yo, I still haven't watched that. I'm so mad. I forgot.
I'll be honest. I watched segments. I didn't watch it like when it was actually playing.
I recorded it, the re-airing. I gotta watch that.
Well, then you gotta like share that with me because I want to watch it. But I heard though, like, and from what I saw, people have really it was a dope virtual concept. So much so that I was like reading people's timelines and I'm like, okay, I have to sit and I have to watch this on my own. But like people were saying that they don't even know how BET is gonna top this when it's not virtual.
Really?
Yeah. Like just the ways that they did it, they tapped into artists replaying their videos, music videos.
Yeah, I saw the little baby video, which was pretty nice.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, like I don't know, like I feel bad because I'm like, Ice Podcast is right, like we're like, damn, like we didn't even watch it.
I know.
But I'm like, just sitting here and reading people's reactions was enough for me to feel like, yo, I definitely.
I'm gonna watch it once we get off tonight. I'll watch it and we'll be able to speak. So we'll speak about it the next show.
Yeah, the next one. But I'm like a couple of highlights that I felt like I appreciated was like shout outs to Lizzo, right? Like Lizzo won Best Female R&B Pop Artist of this year. I'm like, I think Lizzo has definitely put in a lot of work to get that level of recognition. Just like, you know, even people she puts in her music videos, the concept, right? Like representing for, I don't want to say like the plus size community, but I guess that's the term that people are aware of, you know what I mean? But like, just like paving the way in a way that like is just like profound. I will say I was a little sad that Summer Walker didn't win in that category too, because I think that Summer Walker is one of those artists that I think a lot of people don't get to really like know about. But when you hear her music, you're like, yo, like her voice is so unique.
She's very emotional. Very emotional.
Yes, that's the soulful part. It's rhythm and blues. You hear the blues?
Oh my God. I realize there's certain people sometimes that fall in the line of work. You're like, maybe this is not the best line of work for you. Great voice, great music. But the side as far as the fans attacking her, she can't handle that. Like I've seen and read about many different articles with her just going off and have to like, I need a mental.
So you're not talking about like an artist. You're not talking about like her and her music. You're talking about like her about more
personal, exactly. For that. So
well, that wasn't what she was judged on. But I hear you. Because if we're gonna do that, then what are your thoughts on Chris Brown winning Best Male R&B and Pop Artist?
I mean, I don't mind Chris Brown. Chris Brown just dropped a freaking 30-track album. That was a good album. What's wrong?
We're gonna talk about character.
So we still gotta hold.
Oh, I don't know. I'm asking you. You're talking about her. You're talking about her being emotional right now, which she's getting a lot more limelight.
This is something that she's still dealing with, and that's sort of like one of those things that people have said that it can probably hinder her in this type of industry, where nowadays social media, being online, all of that is part of being an artist.
But wasn't that all part? Wasn't that all part of what was going on when Chris Brown and Rihanna had their issues? And look at that now. You're defending him and you're like, well, what? We're going to hold that against him? So I feel like it's just a matter of time.
No. You're twisting everything that I'm saying, right? You're twisting. I'm not saying I agree at all with what Chris Brown did, but I'm saying that you should allow the person to get past it. I would love for her to get a handle of it and say, hey, figure out what you're doing, figure out what it is that you want to, how you want to react. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that she's overreacting to people and comments in her social media, and that can hinder her as an artist. So to keep that in mind, I'm not saying that what Chris Brown did is acceptable, not at all. But at the same time, I realize he's done what he did, paid the cost, because
Yep.
he should have been way further in his career, but that kept him back and held him back for years. And it's only been, how long did that happen? I think I was like 6-7 years ago. Like that's been a while, close to a decade, I believe, that it's happened. And now he's finally, you can see Chris Brown and not think, oh, he just did this to Rihanna. Now, finally, I think people can do that. But right after it happened, everybody canceled him for a while. So he paid his price. And I think he'll continue to do that, which I hope, and from what I've read from him, is something that he's actually taken and does stuff on the side because of that, from donations to groups and talking. That's some of the stuff that he had to do from his probation and everything.
Yeah.
Real quick, we had a question that was asked before we forget. It says, what do you guys think about the NBA coming back and the WNBA, and also retiring the social justice issues? I don't know if you know.
Retiring?
Yeah.
I want more clarity on
like the biggest thing, because people are saying the sports is coming back. If they come back, is going to distract people from what's happening in the real world. So a lot of people are against that. You have a lot of players that's not participating because of that. So that's one of the things. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think that my honest thoughts are issues around social justice and racial justice, with or without the NBA, the NFL, the anything being on air, was in existence and was real, and deserved a lot of attention. And I think that regardless of what's going on with the NFL and whether or not they're on TV, like if them being on TV is going to be what makes you put social justice issues and racial justice issues on the back burner because you're distracted, then I don't think you were really about the movement to begin with, to be quite frank, because I don't think that that's what makes the difference, right? Because you can either watch the NFL or not watch the NFL and still understand that racial inequalities exist, and that you need to take a stand and you need to take a knee, right? So I don't even need you to physically take a knee out on the field. I need you to take a knee in your profession. I need you to take a knee in your family. I need you to take a knee in your social circles. I need you to take a knee and recognize the importance of being anti-racist in this world, right? As a white person, as an ally. And I need people to understand like what being an ally even means. And so again, the multi-billion-dollar industries, if those who are truly controlling it, and it's not even like those like Goodell, but it's just like those who are truly controlling the world of sports, if you continue to be a racist individual, like whether or not you're on TV, you're a racist individual unless you want to change. Yeah. And again, it's just like watching sports is not going to make you less racist or more racist in the sense of like how you maneuver. Again, if it's not I take it back as far as like more racist, because I'm like, somebody could really, of course, like, you know, you can be more violent, you can be more malicious, you could be just less progressive, you can decrease the level of progressiveness, right, as a person. But nonetheless, again, it's not putting the sport on TV that's going to end racism. I think when we're having these conversations about what's going to be highlighted and portrayed on social media and on the news, like we still have that power. And I think that, or we need to continue to work towards having that level of power. So I don't feel like, again, we need to default to blame sports for what's going on in your own mind, what's going on in your own heart. In fact, I need to challenge more people to think critically for themselves. So it's just like, you can also turn off the TV. You can also choose to not tune in to sports. You can choose to do a lot of things. Like nobody's forcing you to do that. And so again, like I put the onus back on a person 100% of the way. You?
I agree with you 100% on this. Actually, this is one of the few times I'm like, all right, you know what? You said my point. There's no point in me repeating. I'm going to say the same things. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, I don't believe sports is going to cause people to not pay attention. If I
was like, if you're a person who was already really paying attention.
If it matters to you and it affects you and you really want that change, sports is not going to stop you from doing it. So last thing, watch Versus, Fabulous versus Jadakiss. If you haven't seen it, if you love hip hop, it was a great hip hop moment. Happened last night.
And I gotta shout out my movie Queen and Slim, which won movie of the year, which I was just like, which I think, again, as we're having these conversations in these spaces, like it speaks volumes, y'all. Like it just speaks volumes to the climate and the racial dynamics that we live in. So don't, again, to reiterate to to reinforce again the statements that were made for that question about like whether sports is going to impact this stuff with social justice. Heck no. And Versus doing his thing. I'm like, music changes the game. People need to continue to pay attention. We're out here. It's for the city and the culture. So
And as always, Collective, we always bring you a guest to speak to and ask some questions. So this week, our special guest, let me add them to the stream right now. Hello. Can you hear us?
Hey, I can hear you just fine.
All right, perfect.
Hey, Noah, happy to
Noah,
have
how you doing, man?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. But Noah, before we jump into conversations with you, I want to let the world know a bit about who you are. And read your phenomenal bio. So for those of you who don't know, Noah Hicks was born and raised in Boston's Bowdoin, Geneva neighborhood. He began cycling at the tender age of 3. As a teenager, Hicks began tinkering with bicycles in his family's basement in inner city Boston, a neighborhood underserved by traditional bicycle shops. His hobby became a lifestyle, providing plenty of spending money and exposure to cultural, green spaces and social activities outside of his neighborhood. Hicks, like many adults, outgrew cycling and shifted his energies toward his career as a Latin teacher at an inner city charter school. After weathering the closure of his charter school and subsequent loss of employment, Noah returned to cycling as his sole means of transportation in order to stay active and save money. He joined the executive board of the Boston Cyclists Union, also known as the BCU, and the City of Boston's Bicycle Advisory Group to serve as a voice for equity within the cycling movement. As founding chairman of the BCU's programming committee, Hicks brought his mechanic teaching model to bicycle repair clinics throughout Boston. He has supported a local youth organization in launching the Mattapan on Wheels annual bicycle ride, a family-oriented event for persons of all ages and abilities, now in its 6th year running. In 2013, Hicks turned an 8x10 shed in a local park into a pop-up seasonal bicycle school, y'all, like school, offering low-cost bicycles and repair lessons to the community. With a dedicated crew of teenage volunteers, Bowdoin Bike School, BBS, saved countless bicycles from the trash heap, safely led group bicycle rides through neighborhoods, and outfitted new riders with free locks, lights, and helmets. Hicks then spearheaded a successful online fundraising campaign to support the expansion of Bowdoin Bike School into a brick and mortar location and hire his volunteer corps. They converted a long vacant automotive repair garage into a bicycle retail shop, which is now known to us as Spoke House. Spoke House relocated to an expansive storefront in Upham's Corner, where it continues to serve the community till this day. So, Noah, I done read a whole lot about you. Shared with the world some things. So, Noah, say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
He's like, I would just keep it straight.
Noah, tell us some things about you that we don't know through this phenomenal bio that I just read.
Some things that aren't in my bio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a dog dad and a music lover.
Hey, dog dad and music lover.
What dog do you have?
This is Munchie. He's a silky terrier.
Hey, Munchie. Okay, go ahead. Got
hey, Munchie.
He lit you. Was like, thanks for the shout out.
I know, like, hey.
I actually dodged it quite capably.
You're like really good at this. I can't. No, well, I'm really excited to have you, and I'd be remiss actually if I didn't give my supervisor a shout out, because she's the one that sent me your article actually in the Bay State Banner. It was just like, hey, I know you have a podcast. Have you heard of Noah and what happened in his conversation in his interview? And I was like, no. And I read about you and I said, listen, we got to have him on. We got to have you on. Your philanthropic heart is like in your bio, in the work that you do, in the birth of your bike shop. And just, I'm excited to have you here to really talk about what it's been like for you previously, prior to COVID, during COVID, and now even after these riots and the looting that we're talking about in the world. So
I know. Yeah, one of the things I really wanted to start off with is, every time you hear somebody as a kid, they fall in love with something, with a hobby, whether it's bicycling, whatever, be it sports or anything like that. A lot of the times, most people don't follow through and make a career out of it when they become an adult. So what made you fall in love with it and also stay in love enough with cycling so that you actually were able to open up a shop?
So the freedom of cycling and just getting around on my own 2 feet before a driver's license, or the possibility of a driver's license, something I still don't have. that was what made me fall in love with cycling, the independence of it. I think a lot of us who are born and raised in this city have our neighborhood. We stick to our neighborhood. We stick to our experiences, and we don't really get out as much as we could. That was not me from a young age. I was in Austin. I was in Somerville. I was off in Quincy. I was riding everywhere, and staying in shape doing it. The feeling of being on a bike is like you're flying, you know, you just got wind in your face, you're just coasting along. There's no such thing as traffic for you.
That's true.
And so I just love the independence of it. And what made me step it up even more was learning how to repair my own bike, because it's one thing to have a bike and be able to go wherever you want, but then it's another thing to break down and not be able to fix it, which is it's a problem a lot of people have. I've made a business out of helping those people.
That's it.
But for me, just I'm largely self-taught. I did engage with a couple of programs, Broadway Bicycle School, Boston Cyclist Union, to sharpen my skills. But a lot of what I know, I taught myself by YouTube.
YouTube Academy is real.
I know, especially nowadays.
Go ahead.
It took it from me just riding to me tinkering with bikes and being able to fix pretty much anything on a bike before I was employed by a shop for the first time.
That's amazing. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's what made me fall in love with it. And then what made me do it as a vocation is the fact that I was just frustrated with the nonprofit industrial complex. What I had been doing, I had been working in housing, and I loved the impact of the work that I was doing, but it took a lot out of me and gave very little back. And in terms of confronting a lot of the systems that got my clients into the place where they were, in a place where they were coming to us for help, for economic assistance, for emergency assistance, I felt like we were addressing a lot of the symptoms of oppression and inequality, but not necessarily doing anything transformative to change people's lives before they got to an emergency. And so I just wanted to do something. I wanted to do something where I would be my own boss. I wanted to use my skill set that I had productively and for the community. And at first, it was just a volunteer thing that I was doing. I was just like, I'm just going to do this as a hobby on the weekends in my neighborhood, and I'm going to leave it at that. But people weren't having it. People were just like, we need a shop in this community. You got to open up a shop. You got to open up a shop. And the support was just so tremendous. It was like having the wind at my back. It was just sort of like a no-brainer from the clinics to opening a shop.
That's amazing. I mean, you mentioned a number of things too, right? And sharing a bit about your journey and your story. It's like wanting to be part of the solution and not necessarily the problem, which to me reminds me of the importance of getting to the root causes and the sources of what's going on. So here you are supporting people who are facing economic challenges and disparities. But if we're not challenging the infrastructure, the systems that are leading us there to begin with, we're always responding, but we're not necessarily deterring, right? And impacting systems that will prevent people from having to need us to begin with. So, and then to turn your passion and project into something that provided you with a level of income and resource, I think changes the game, right? And like here you are now in a position where you've taken on young people, you've taken on teenagers to show them to ride bicycles, to repair bicycles. Like I just bought a bicycle a couple of months ago. I have a purple Fuji bike and I love it. I call him Sir Dapper. And my bike broke on me while I was riding it. I mean, luckily it was just more of a like untwisting and loosening up the tire a bit to then fix the chain and then tighten it back up to just be able to commute again. But I definitely feel like learning how to repair my bike before I even experience something would definitely be helpful. So again, thank you for curating those spaces. Can you talk to us a bit about how you provided pathways, or what was the vision? What was the inspiration really to allow you to reach out to young people to have them part of this endeavor with you rather than peers and colleagues who might be your age, if not older, given the fact that you were also part of some programs?
It was just very natural. It was just responding to the needs and the interests of the community. Once you put up a sign that says bike repair and you start allowing people to help you, young people are going to flock to you and support what you're doing. And I wanted to support them in turn. So it was a no-brainer for me to get and to tap into some of that energy that they were bringing and the way to employ them eventually.
Absolutely. What would you say was like the biggest lesson that they've taught you?
Patience.
Tell us more. That was so quick. You were like, patience.
Yeah.
Because honestly, over the years, people coming into the shop have been mostly teenage boys, and they will test your patience, and realize, and they will also keep you humble. Like, they don't let a thing go by. Humility, and just realizing, like, and just remembering to laugh.
Yeah.
For instance, I've been covered by local media and national media for years, and I had, look at me now, I'm a pretty slim guy still, but I'm not as slim as I once was. I used to be skinny. And I had a picture, an article of me just hanging up, and one of the kids reads it intently from start to finish, and then turns around and instead of commenting on the article goes, "You used to be skinny."
Not even about the content. He was like, but let me tell you about this picture though.
I know.
Like, I'm just being told that I put on weight. I got a gut now. I'm like,
so like, right, like, what about my impact? What about the change? What about you being able to be in the shop to read this article and talk about it?
That's one thing I actually wanted to bring up, Noah, is you hear a lot of people saying that they want to get into bicycling and they can exercise from it. So for someone, especially during this post-COVID, us living in a world where a lot more people are picking up as a means to get around and get outside, how much of exercise do you actually get? Or is it like I know it's not a full body, but how much exercise can you get from riding your bike, and how many times a week should you do it, and for how long you go on those rides to see an effect?
I'm a big advocate for cycling as a means of transportation.
Okay.
Building it into your everyday life. So if you're going to the store and you can ride instead of driving your car, do it. If you're going to if you're going to a cookout and you can ride instead of driving your car, do it. And so I cycle every day. And even though it may not be 30 or 40 miles a day, at least it's exercise that's built into my lifestyle that is never going to be taken out. If I get the habit of cycling for transportation, that's exercise that I'm going to get every day, no matter how busy I get. I don't have to think about going to the gym. I don't have to think about planning it. It's just automatic. Instead of going to my car, I go to my bike and I burn calories.
That's it. I mean, and you burn, yes, you do burn calories. I was riding my bike earlier today, and these inclines that Boston has, people don't even know. But like Boston, you'll drive your car and you don't even realize that there are a lot of like hills in Boston, or just again these like subtle inclines until you are on that bicycle, and then you have to switch gears because you're gonna. I mean, I personally struggle to make it, and there've been more than enough times where I said, you know what, I'm just gonna walk up this hill because riding this bike is not it. But like, what are some tips you have for people who are like maybe new to the riding game, trying to build stamina, want to like really build that level of grit and resilience to like go up these hills, or just build that level of routine that you're talking about, Noah, right? Where it's almost like innate in who you are. Like you're just getting up and you're gonna ride this bike. But how do we ride through the rain? Because I'm like, or how do I ride at night? Like, I mean, obviously I get my lights, but I'm like, are people gonna kill me? Am I gonna make it? You know, so like, what are your thoughts on just getting started?
The most important thing is to just keep going. Even if you have to get off and walk, even if you have to occasionally get on the sidewalk because you don't feel comfortable in the street, just keep riding. You're gonna build up endurance the more you ride, and that's a fact. And for me, cycling is easier than walking. Like I can just ride my bike. 10 miles is easy, 20 miles is easy, 30 miles is easy. I can just ride. And I don't really get tired because it's just muscle memory at this point. But I wasn't always like that. I had to build up to that. And then riding through different circumstances is just all about the right equipment. So if you're gonna the rain, you can outfit your bike with fenders so you don't get as wet and your bike doesn't get as dirty. If you're gonna ride at night, you need good lights, like you mentioned. You need reflective clothing, and anything to help you stay safe and stay dry, stay warm.
Yeah.
If you're riding in the wintertime, I always suggest multi-layers in wool and natural fibers because it's breathable. Cotton, even though it is a natural fiber, can get a little warm and uncomfortable, but wool is so breathable. It really keeps you comfortable. And these are the things that you don't know unless somebody tells you. That's why you come to your local bike shop and you have these questions. And hopefully every local bike shop is as friendly as mine, but I'm one of 2 Black-owned bike shops in Boston.
That's it.
And people come in and they ask us these questions all the time. We don't charge for advice. Just come in and talk about it. If you need to order something to fit your needs, we can order a lot of things for you. I used to say we can order anything you would like, but the beautiful thing about the pandemic is that we are running out of bicycle supplies. So I can't even order everything that I want. The boom throughout this pandemic has been so stark that I go to order saddles, pumps, chains, inner tubes. Everything is sold out.
Wow.
And so we're meeting people's needs the best that we can with what we have. And we are just focused on staying stocked and keeping people rolling with at least basic necessities. Our repair shop is open. We're doing repairs as quickly as we can, even though this is the busiest we've ever been by double or triple.
Oh, wow.
Like ever. So you mean like even before, like pre-pandemic, this is just like the busiest?
Yes, this is the busiest because we're practically sold out of bikes.
Wow.
And with no prospect of ordering more because you cannot order bikes right now.
Right.
Every single bicycle in the catalog is sold out.
Amazing. Congrats.
That's good.
It's like that's a positive that definitely came out of a negative. What are your price ranges? I'm curious to know, like, what are your price ranges in bicycles for folks and maybe even for the few that you have left now?
For a quality bike, I tell people $250 is a good average, and that's a quality brand name bike used. Normally they sell for $500, $600, $700, but we fix them up. We replace anything that needs to be replaced, and we get them running like new. And get a good bike for that, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. We also tell people to budget for locks, light, and helmet because you are going to want to keep your bike safe and well lit and your body safe. So definitely think about that. We encourage helmet usage, lights, and locks for that reason. And then, there are different accessories that you can throw on as well. So maybe budget $100 or $150 more to get your bike exactly how you want it.
Right. To pimp your ride. I got a water bottle. I got a bell.
With that price range and a bike, what about e-bikes? I know that's become very popular now. You have a lot of people from all over, especially in the inner cities that are, renting e-bikes and everything. Do you see that's also picked up throughout the pandemic as far as sales of e-bikes?
I know that they're very popular. My particular shop does not dabble in repairs or sales of e-bikes.
Okay.
We're just traditional bikes only.
Okay.
I know they're popular. I like the fact that they're popular, and a lot of shops are both selling and repairing them because it is opening up the cycling landscape, and a lot of people who, for endurance reasons or a lot of older riders would not be out there riding as much are getting access to cycling. I love it. I think it's great. We're not. It's not part of what we do, but they're quite popular now, and they're hard to find.
Yeah. And I've been looking at some and I'm like, it's about like 3 weeks, 4 weeks wait just to even get an order in online. Actually, in the past couple of weeks, I've been, well, yeah, let me go back to riding my some bicycles and everything. I haven't done that in a while. Uh, one thing I did wanted to bring back up for with you is, so you have the annual Mattapan Wheels on Ride. So how did that come about? And not only that, how can people, that's the collective that's watching now or listening to the podcast later, how can they join? Is there a website or link or a page that they should follow?
So that's not my ride. It's definitely in there. That my bio, I didn't catch that, but my bio is actually a little dated. I think they're in their 11th year right now.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
They do a great job of that event. They've done such a great job with organizing for the past few years. I haven't even been involved.
Oh wow. Okay.
All I've done is provide them with technical support and tools that they need, and the organizers of that event just knock it out the park every year. It's one of the most well attended events. I do want to plug my ride that I've been organizing, the Ride for Black Lives.
Yes, I love that.
So some cycling organizations and shops with the movement for Black Lives being at the national forefront right now, got together and thought of a way that we could be supportive and show solidarity for Black riders and Black people and Black lives. And we came up with the idea of doing a Ride for Black Lives. We just had one on last Saturday. We raised a lot of money for mass action against police brutality. Every time we do a ride, it's going to be a fundraiser for an organization that serves Black folks locally or nationally. And we're going to get together. We had almost 1,000 people out on bikes. We took up entire city, blocks upon blocks upon blocks upon blocks. It was just a sea of cyclists as far back as you could see.
What was the route? Where did you all start and end?
Yeah. We started at Franklin Park. We went down. I'm just going to tell you the route. We started at Franklin Park. We went past the African American History Museum on Walnut.
Yeah.
We went up Harold Street and went by Franklin Park again. Then we went down to Malcolm X Boulevard, Martin Luther King Boulevard. Took the right on Martin Luther King. Came up through Grove Hall, and then we went back to Franklin. We went to Fields Corner. We went down Ave. We came through Upham's Corner, and we ended at Nubian Square. And so we wanted to highlight Boston's communities of color, definitely, and the reaction from people just sitting on their porches was tremendous. Or people sitting on sidewalks as we were coming through, riding in the rain, chanting Black Lives Matter. People were saying thank you. People were joining in on our chants. People were putting their fists up. And we had intended to just do one, but the energy and the beauty of the moment was just so much, and the opportunity to support a local organization was just so touching. Yeah, I want to do it again and again.
I'm sitting here like, when's the next one? I want to sign up.
You can follow the Ride for Black Lives on Facebook.
Okay.
I've actually registered the page, the Ride for Black Lives.
Okay.
So you can follow us there.
Awesome.
It's called Ride for Black Lives, and we will post it on that event page.
That is amazing.
You can also follow Spoke House on Facebook. We've got a little fist and surrounded by a rainbow as our logo. You can follow us there, and we'll post the ride there as well.
That's awesome. As you're talking about Ride for Black Lives, it really makes me think too of how I came to really know a bit about your story, right? And so here people are protesting and talking about the importance of Black lives, and then all of a sudden your store was broken into based on the looting and the rioting that took place. So I want to know more about your thoughts on, the responsibility we have as Black people to Black people and Black-owned businesses, but then also thinking about the root causes of what led us to be here to begin with. So once again, you heard about your store being looted based off of a riot. What was your initial reaction?
You know, it was wild because a customer had sent me a picture of the broken window, and that's what I woke up to. And I was just like, dang, somebody broke into my store after all these years. No robberies, no theft, no issues with anything like that. Somebody broke into my store. I didn't even make the connection that it's something was going on as part of any sort of looting or anything like that, any broader trend, because I'm largely supportive, not largely, totally supportive of the movement for Black Lives. And I thought it would never affect my store.
Yeah.
So it took a while, and it took somebody else pointing out that looting had happened downtown and on another store on our street for me to go, oh, this is something that people are doing right now. This is part of the I don't even know what to chalk it up to. It could have been because several bike shops were looted all at the same time, and they took a lot of bikes.
Oh wow.
More than you could carry out with your hands and ride out with. So honestly, I think that the movement is doing great work for Black people right now. And there were just some people who were looking to take advantage of the moment, and were very, very well organized and had it well planned and did not care who they hurt. I definitely don't think it was anybody who is actively involved with the movement or anything like that. Or that's just what my gut tells me, because of the fact that so many bike shops were hit and they stole so many bikes. I think somebody just wanted the opportunity to steal from people and didn't care that they were stealing from a Black business. I'm not even going to assume or think that it was my own people. Like, I don't know, and I don't care. The thing that was amazing was that somebody I just posted kind of like a little tongue-in-cheek, tried to find some humor in the moment, and I was just like, I always wanted windows that opened out to the street, but this is not what I was talking about. I just posted that, and somebody asked me for my Cash App, so I posted my Cash App, my Venmo, and my PayPal in the comment section. Then I made a post with my Cash App, my Venmo, and my PayPal. And the fundraising effort that took place was far beyond anything that I could have imagined. They paid for the stolen bikes, and then some. And then it became a question of, what do I do with all this money? Because I was going to hoard thousands of dollars for my business when I could take that money and reinvest it in the community and make a difference. At first, I was going to donate to the Massachusetts Bail Fund, but then I saw something that they were encouraging people to spread the wealth. So I found local organizations who are doing the work, and I just sent money to them directly. I just said, how do I donate to you? These are people who I know through organizing or who I respect very much. I was just like, how do I send money to you? How do I support you? And I just started filling the coffers of community organizations that I love. And then we had the idea for the Ride for Black Lives. No money left over, so we just sponsored the ride. We've made T-shirts, and I was able to finance the T-shirts, and then encourage people to donate to Mass Action for Police Brutality in exchange for a T-shirt. So we were able to continue to perpetuate the outgrowth of support that had been shown to us, and really bless local community organizations with that.
That's amazing.
And we'll do it again. We will sponsor another ride.
That's it. As I'm listening to you, I think it's moving to also hear that in all of this, in this conversation, we're talking about like Black lives, right? A lot of what's going on at the forefront, or a lot of people we're talking about when we talk about Black Lives Matter, are Black men. And so here we are with like a Black man who's paving the way and leading a lot of change within his own communities, right? Like you're giving back, you're employing teams, your business was broken into, was robbed still, right? Essentially, like you were robbed. And then there's an outcry and support from the community, and here you are again still pouring in to that community. And like you, again, like that tongue to cheek comment, right? The importance of still being able to smile sometimes through adversity. That Black boy joy is there. Can you talk to us about the role or the responsibility of the identity that you have as a Black man in business, mentoring, sponsoring, supporting, and leading directly, intentionally, unintentionally in our community to make such impact? What has that been like for you?
I like to jokingly say that everything that I do is completely self-serving, because I live in this community. I've lived in this community my entire life. In Bowdoin, Geneva. I'm in Bowdoin. This is the house that I grew up in right now, that I'm sitting here talking to you from right now. I can walk down the street and go to work. It's less than a 20-minute walk. I patronize local businesses. I want a vibrant community where everybody belongs, nobody is displaced, and everybody has opportunity, because that's what's good for me. That's what's good for people like me, for us to build up our own community instead of getting access to education or getting access to a business and immediately moving out and divesting in our communities. I want this community to thrive because I live here. I'm invested. So for me, there's no other choice. You don't just sit and you don't watch people facing challenges in your own backyard and in your own community and do nothing about it when you have the opportunity. So it's just when people ask why, in addition to just going about my business and running my business, I find ways to give back, connect, and create community. My answer would be, how could I not?
That's it.
Because I am this community.
Exactly.
That's it. I mean, amen to that.
Everything that I do benefits me and people just like me. It's not some intangible theoretical thing that I do when I start an organization, or I take a garage that has been long abandoned and turn it into a bike shop and bring vitality to the neighborhood. It's literally something that affects my life and affects lives of people like me. If Black people don't prosper, my life is going to be less because of it. I'm going to have less of a quality experience in this neighborhood. Our neighborhoods are going to feel less safe if people aren't employed or people don't have access to services that they need. People can't keep their bikes rolling. They're not going to be able to get to work. That has an adverse effect on my community. It's almost like a duty to do something.
That's it. It's a responsibility for sure.
I know. So my last question for you, Noah, is I know you said you started off, it was a pop-up shop that you started off with, and that turned pretty great, and then you were able to finally get a brick and mortar store and go into that. So what were the good and the bad experiences that you had for the collective, or anybody else out there that's listening that would say, hey, I want to get into a bike shop, or I want to open up my bike shop one day? What were the good things that happened in the beginning? What would you recommend that they should do?
I recommend you find funding from the beginning, because being well funded can make a world of difference. That's we bootstrapped our business and just did it with the resources that we had, and didn't really borrow money until our third year of operation. That is not something I would recommend anybody do. If you have
Why though? Tell us more. Like, why wouldn't you recommend something?
Because in terms of everything from payroll to keeping enough stock to make money, to having enough funds to improve your space the way that you would like to and do the kind of build out that you deserve, it's gonna take capital. And so you can start without financial support, but white people don't start businesses like that. They don't. the reason why their businesses are well staffed from the get-go and they have everything they need and aren't serving excuses a lot of times is because they have access to capital, whether it be friends, family, and maybe some things that we don't necessarily enjoy, bank loans, other things that we may not necessarily enjoy as a people. But we had the best experience with the Ujima Fund. The best experience with the Ujima Fund, actually borrowing money to get some necessities for our business to get us to the next level. So I would highly recommend you find a friendly lender or crowdsource some and really start off with everything that you need. Just think about how much you might possibly need to build your dream business and rate before you get started. The other thing I would say is be careful. Be careful. Be selective about location. Our first location was on a side street. Even though we loved it and it was a wonderful place to get started, it was on a side street and an uninsulated garage that used to flood, and the landlords were not the best to work with. And we got into that location because we just needed something.
Yeah.
So we were determined to make it work no matter where we went. But we didn't think of the pitfalls that could come with moving into a location like that. Now we're in a retail location right in the middle of Upham's Corner where pretty much we get tons and tons of foot traffic, and it makes a world of difference to the sustainability and the viability of our business. So those are two things that I would, with people starting brick and mortar retail locations, those are two things I would say. And it's okay to start small. If you start at at Black Market, or you start just being a vendor and start vending at events to get your brand off the ground, and you don't overextend yourself financially, if you don't have that access to capital, that is fine. And start within your means and build from there, and have a plan. Have a business plan, have a scalability plan, and plan. Know exactly where you're going. I think some of the mistakes and the pitfalls along the way have been us just responding to opportunities that come up instead of necessarily saying, within 3 years, we want to be doing this. Within 5 years, we want to be doing this. And it has worked out, and we're here. We're entering our 6th year of operation, but there's definitely much less stressful ways to go about getting here.
Gotcha.
I hear that. I appreciate that level of honesty too, right? I think in our communities, because of that lack of financial literacy that we always have, we come from two different ends. Sometimes we are so quick to accept loans and to apply for credit, et cetera, not thinking about how much we're borrowing and how much we can pay back, or we're quick to not put ourselves in a position where we're borrowing because we're petrified of being played or like owing too much. And so really thinking about the importance of living within your means and planning strategically to really understand what your business is going to look like, and not be the organization or the company or the bike shop that will say yes to every opportunity, but could really think about what are your goals, what are your visions for your company, for your place of work, and how can you align with the best people or the right people to make sure that happens is key. So thank you so much.
Oh, and when you know you're about to take that next step, and a couple of years out, you're not necessarily ready to leave your job, build your credit. Get a credit builder loan. If your credit's terrible, get a credit builder loan. Get a what do you call those things? Like a guaranteed credit card, or start using a credit card and start paying it off so that you have a credit history, and then you're in a place to secure funding once you do get to the point where you want to launch your business. Credit, absolutely, everything when it comes to being able to run and sustain a business. So
absolutely.
If your credit is a struggle, don't be intimidated. Don't get down on yourself. Get with a good credit counselor. There are tons of nonprofit credit counselors out there. ABCD does it as well, and start to address that before you launch your business, because launching a business with no credit is not something I would would recommend to everyone. The fact that when push comes to shove, we can borrow money is like, it's a huge asset.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are like, well, why do you need to build your credit score in order to go into business? Your interest rates make all of the difference on how much you borrow and how much you have to pay back on that loan. And so that's what we're talking about. So if if you're borrowing $100 with 3% interest versus 30% interest, that makes such a difference on what you're paying back over the lifetime of that loan. And that is based on that credit score. And so it's something for us to think about when, again, you're thinking about building capital, right? A lot of people oftentimes we're debt poor in the sense that we have a lot. We like our assets are as equal to our debt. And so that debt to income ratio is not ever something that's going to be balanced, because you have a lot, you might own a lot, but because you owe on everything you own, it's really not yours until it's paid for. And so it's really thinking about, again, how much we borrow versus how much we're paying for what we're borrowing. And can it ever truly be ours? Even though, right, somebody's saying it's yours, it's your company. But again, if you borrowed a lot of money and your interest rates are high, think about how much time it's going to take you to pay that back before you can actually say the revenue is truly your revenue to keep and to place where you'd like to place it. So.
Or in an extreme, you may just be denied for everything.
That's true too.
Really not where it should be. You may be denied for every type of loan, which makes it really, really hard to run a business.
Absolutely. We don't want you to
especially if you're starting out and you need that money and everybody's telling you no, it kind of discouraging and everything like that, which you hear all the time. Like, I want to start this, but nobody wants to help me out. So that's definitely good advice, Noah. And last thing is, let the collective know where they can find you on Instagram, Facebook, or follow you, and also where your bike shop is located, numbers or anything like that, to how to contact you if they want to get some services from you.
All right, I'm gonna look up our Instagram.
See, Birdie, we're not too bad.
I know, we do the same thing. We're like, what's our Twitter name?
So we're on Facebook as Spoke House. I think it's at. Oh, see. So anyway, we're located in Upham's Corner, right at the corner of Dudley and Columbia, where Payless used to be. There's construction scaffolding in front of our building, but we are still open for business. We can be reached at 857-246-9534. Hours and location are on our voicemail. And you can find us on Facebook. Come on. At Spoke House Boston. Spoke House Boston, like a bicycle spoke. And on Instagram, I accept messages through Instagram, but I'm not very active on it. We are Chucks, I don't know. We are the Spoke House.
Okay.
I did it.
You got it. You got it. You put it out there for the people. I'm like, the world of social media, it's another job. I tell people all the time, keeping up and maintaining. But thank you so much, Noah, for being here. Founder, creator, owner of Spoke House, your local bike shop, employing not only adults, but teenagers, leading the way by example, pouring into the community, one bike at a time, one bike repair at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are listening to the Urban Collective Show, understand again the importance of pouring into our communities. Like Noah said, he's able to pour into the community because he understands how much he's connected to it, right? And so we live in a time right now where it's easy for us to say, like, those are for those people over there. These racial injustices or economic injustices are for them, but it's not for us. But when we understand the importance of truly building and pouring into our communities and empowering everyone as a collective, this is how change happens. Spoke House was looted, but still, again, because of the community, because of the impact and the support of the community, was able to stay in business and not only receive financial support, but surpass what it even meant, what they needed to even maintain business. And so again, when you pour into the community, the community will pour back into you. So thank you so much. And we definitely want to support Ride for Black Lives and just continue to do all of the work that you're doing, Noah. I'm going to have to ride my bike over there and support the business and find out your hours and all of that, and support and follow on social media. So again, for all of you who are out there, if you're scared even to ride a bike, just go out there and start. And if you're nervous, just keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, because everybody, I believe, deserves to know how to ride a bike and have more than one mode of transportation, and control how they just get around. So you see so much of the world. But again, thank you so much, Noah, for being here, for being such a pillar in the Black and brown community, and being such a great example about what it means to not only pour into the community, but take in people in the community to keep the mission and the purpose alive.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Have a good evening.
You too.
All right.
Bye. All right. So listen, folks, that was Noah doing what he does best, Spoke House. And I would love to see you on a regular bike, not just a motorcycle, by the way. So we gotta make that happen.
Whatever. I used to have plenty. I love riding bicycles. When I was a kid, that was my number one way of getting around. And then as I got older, it was like the lack of time basically kind of got me away from riding, because it was like, oh, I have a car now. I can get around much faster. But
it's not lack of time. It's the lack of planning for the
it's a lack of time, because I'm
lack of planning.
And be like, oh, let me take 30 minutes to get here. I can get there in the car in 10 minutes. So
so just leave 30 minutes earlier.
No, I would have got my extra 20 minutes of sleep or whatever it might be.
Oh, exactly. So it's planning for it, planning for the time. I will tell you though, like I'll tell you, as a person who has short legs and is still building stamina and endurance on bike riding, I'll Google things. I'm like, oh, this tells me I'll get there in 20 minutes. I'm like, I'll get there in 40. I'll get there in 30. Because I'm like, now I'm actually, that's how I challenge myself. I'm like, how true to the projection can I actually match?
Yeah.
But rules of the road are interesting too, though. So that's one thing we didn't get to talk about. But, you do stop when a car stops on your side, or do you keep going? And I mean, I think I get there in the projected time, because I'm like, oh, there's no car. All right, I'll fly it. Versus like,
so you're one of those.
I'm one of those. I'm not breaking the rules. What I'm doing is paying close attention to my surroundings and proceeding with caution.
All right, sure.
But anyway, bike riders, listen, I tell people my hashtag when I'm on this bike is city girls ride bikes too. And then sometimes I'll be like, Black city girls ride bikes too. Because people will be like, oh my God, be you on your bike? I said, yep, just don't talk to me though. I can't talk and ride. Can't happen. I'm not there yet. I was like, I gotta stay alive.
Free-handed and just like not hold on to the steering?
Free-handed, no. One-handed, yes. Yes. So I could do that. I mean, I'm learning. I don't even know if I want to do free-handed. You know how clumsy I am? Like, I'm gonna be like, no hands, and then that's gonna be the time my bike hits the curb, and then I fly off of it, and there was nothing to help me. Like these are things I think about. Right. Like Noah's window got broken into because people broke it. Like I would fly into someone and I'd be like, and the window would break me. So there are things I have to think about. I got to be subtle. So.
I understand. Trust me, I understand.
Crazies out here. But honestly, y'all, thank you so much for listening to the Urban Collective Show. As always, we love to do it for the city. We love to do it for the culture. You have all been super supportive of all of our work before COVID, throughout COVID. We are truly here for you. Noah, again, thank you so much for being a guest on our show. For everybody who's tuning into the collective, again, we are who we are because of you. So continue to send us suggestions, continue to support and send us people to have on our show. Continue to talk to us about certain topics you'd like to see us discuss. Because again, as I said earlier, we're for the city and for the culture, and that starts and ends with you.
Yes, y'all. And always remember, you can follow us on the different social media platforms that are out there. We interact a lot with Instagram, so make sure you follow our Instagram page. It's at the Urban Collective Show. You can also follow us on Facebook at the Urban Collective Show, and on Twitter as TUC Show 3 on Twitter. Our website, you can go if you want to get the hat that I'm wearing. You want to get the hat that Bernadine is wearing, hoodies, we have that. You can purchase, help support us through our merch that you purchase. And if you love the show, that's another way of showing your love. By doing that, you can go to the website, which is www.theurbancollectiveshow.com. When you go to the website, we have all of our information in there, stuff that's happening around the city sometimes when we get updates. And also, this is where you can order some of your merch. So follow us online, interact with us, tell a friend to tell a friend stories, share our episodes, and listen to the podcast. We're on every platform available. Video will stay up on YouTube. It's also on Facebook, and you can also find Spotify, Apple, all the major platforms, and even Google. You will find our podcast that is available there.
Awesome. And as always, we love to end our show with a motivational, inspirational quote to keep you all going until the next time we are on air. And so in the spirit of talking about looting and rioting and all that is Black Lives Matter and riding for Black lives, we wanted to make sure that we left you all with this quote by Alicia Garza. And Alicia Garza says, how do we stop violence, looting, and riots? Or excuse me, she doesn't say, she asks, how do we stop violence, looting, and riots? The way that we stop that is making sure that people have the things that they need to thrive. And so again, as a collective, we want to make sure we support and empower our community. We want to make sure you all have all that you need to thrive. And we want you all to continue to lead by example and by pouring into your own. So, and then some, right? So on that note, it's your girl, Bernadine Truth.
It's your man, and I see.
And we'll catch you next time.
Happy, I'm not even going to say happy 4th.
Oh, yeah. But you did, though.
I know. I was like, I edited that part out.
We'll see y'all soon. Okay.
Later.
Bye.